one you've done with us, right?
With you, yeah. I've done my 10th one overall.
Yeah?
Well, if you take that times two, at U46, I had like do it 3 times. So it's like forever. But no, I've done these for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Try to tell a story with it, so we'll see. Because it's a little
I
bit.
like
I mean,
stories.
every business person does it differently. I've had
It
many.
makes sense to relate it to something, or as you said, tell a story because for tolerance for finances and
That's
you know,
right.
budgetary things.
It does this for most
Yeah.
people. It's like over out. So I try to at least make it relevant, relative. I try to provide, some sort of justice. Why are we asking for more money?
Right?
I think taxpayers deserve to know those
Oh, no doubt. Board needs to know it.
kind
Staff needs to know why we're doing it,
of.
and then ultimately the people that are paying for it, because they are, right?
That's right.
We all are paying
I
for
mean,
it.
those are the questions
They
you
gotta
guys get.
understand it.
When you're out with friends and they're going, so why'd you guys raise money?
Yeah, yeah.
Why are you doing? Well, this is why we're
I mean, just this Sunday in church, I get uh, three independent questions about U46's private because it was. I have no idea why they chose that salary. I said because it's a big school district and there's a lot of work and it's a huge budget and operating is, like a good sized business. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of money. We pay our superintendents and we pay our staff well,
doing.
but I wouldn't say it's too much.
Yeah.
But they were looking for why 300 million,
Well, I
three
could tell
hundred
you
thousand dollars.
when I left there.
Yeah.
So I created their budget before I left. 957,
Sort of.
40 short of a billion.
I said it
And
was
I
a
could have
billion
got,
dollar budget. I
and
said
I
it was
could
a
have gotten to
billion.
a billion.
Yeah.
There's some things that I had to finally cut back.
Yeah.
I could have got there, but yeah, it's
Yes.
and they're blessed. They got $800 million in the bank. They got a lot of money in the bank. They're also doing a ton of construction over the next 5 years. A lot of construction over the next 5 years.
Know that.
Building a new middle school.
They doing that out of
And
where are they
elementary.
getting the money for two new schools?
Did pass a referendum, $179 million referendum. Bonded 179.
Okay.
So kind of a combo of both.
And the referendum, remind me, it was, what type of referendum was it? Was it straight tax
Yeah.
or was it?
Well, zero tax rate increase. Goes on the tax rolls.
Yeah, like first day and you're at home.
You can do a bond where it
Right.
doesn't necessarily go on the tax rolls. It
Yeah.
does in the sense that we have to pledge money for it,
Well, they're still
but it
doing,
doesn't have to
they
go on
started
as a bond of
trust
interest tax.
yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Right.
You?
Pleasure to meet you, Mike. Thanks for coming.
Mike's the one that asks good questions about your role.
Yep.
He's our watch. We say lovingly.
All good questions. Things I have answers for.
Got quite the mind.
All things that I haven't written in my presentation.
Yeah.
Most of them, at least. We'll cover most of those.
See what you did?
I think we're going that way.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call the Board Operations Committee meeting for Tuesday, August 12th to order. I would like to add that we have one board member, Tola McKindy, who will be joining us via phone. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We can move to item 2, approval of the previous meeting minutes. Did anyone have any changes, additions, corrections to the meeting minutes from July 15th, which are being presented for approval? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to item 3, public participation. We've had one person sign up for public participation, Mr. Tennis.
My name is Mike Tennis from Sleepy Hollow. Amend agenda. Add language services review. Discuss $175,000 for English learners consulting services. Discuss DMG scope of work, including hours, fees, expenses, and timeline. Tentative budget presentation. Fiscal year 25 unaudited ending fund balance. O&M unaudited expenditures of $26,339,000 differs from June's treasurer's report. Fund 2 O&M expenditures are reported at $26,096,000 or $243,000 less. Fiscal year 26 budget. Expense budget of $418,020,000 is substantially higher spending than fiscal year 25 actual. Actual for all funds was $386,847, which is $331,173,000 or 7.5% less. Fiscal 26 budget plan deficit $12,238 differs from fiscal year 25 plan surplus. Last year's budget had revenues exceeding expenditures of $4.4 million. 26 budget revenue. Tentative budget includes federal revenue of only $16,252,000. Prior to COVID, ESSER funds, federal aid totaled $20,190,000 per fiscal year 2019 audit. Tentative budget includes benefits of $63,367,000. Fiscal year 25 actual was $51,865,000, which is $11.5 million or 18% less. Fiscal year budget expenses. Tentative budget includes capital outlays of $35.9 million. 25 actual was $18.8 million, which is $17 million or 47% less. Fiscal year budget capital maintenance and construction, 23 projects, 12 elementary school projects, 6 middle school, 3 high school, and 2 district projects. Reduce fiscal year capital outlays by identifying the cost per project, shift priorities by year with master facility plan, use realistic enrollment projections, modify boundary agreements, maximize use of existing facilities. Next step, continue analyzing revenue and expense, issue notice of September 23rd hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we can move on to items for discussion. Item 4.1, disposal report.
Yes, the disposal report for August includes obsolete IT equipment, obsolete classroom and office furniture, a wrestling mat, and some media center shelving and furniture.
Anyone have any questions or comments on that? Okay, thank you. Item 4.2, treasurer's report.
Good afternoon. I will be reporting on the month of June. I'd like to say that we finished very strong for the year. Total cash on hand, $230.3 million. That's about $100 million up from the previous month, and that's because of our tax distributions that were coming in during the month of June. It's a heavy month for us with revenues from local taxes, so that's why you see that jump of $100 million. Total revenues for the year, we finished strong at about 103%, and overall operating fund expenditures by object, about 98%. We also did very well with our short-term investments. We came in at about 10.2 million, which is 149% the budget. So again, these are unaudited numbers. Our audit is beginning. It's actually in process right now. We will be meeting with our auditors on site in September, and there will be a presentation of audited numbers in December for the board. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions or comments on that? Thank you. Item 4.3, donation report.
I am pleased to bring this donation to you. Costco, local partner, has donated a $500 gift card to the District 300 Community Closet.
Thank you, Costco. We appreciate that. Item 4.4, copier paper bid extension.
Yes, the contract for Murnane is before you for the extension to run from June 1st through August 31st. And the pallet price is $1,296 with a per carton at $32.40. And Murnane has been a great partner for District 300, and we've had no problems with them.
Thank you. Anyone comments or questions on that? Sounds good. Item 4.5, musical instrument bid.
Hi, good evening. Thank you to our purchasing department who helped out with this bid as we sought to get contract pricing for musical instruments. The program has seen a steady increase in students that are participating in performing arts. So of course, it's important to ensure we have instruments and an inventory to keep up with that interest. The dollar amounts were secured from 3 vendors, and the contract pricing, essentially, if we were to purchase one of each of the instruments, it is the dollar amounts on the bid there. So we have secured competitive pricing for these instruments that is going to ensure that we have, quality tools for our students, and it's going to ensure the programmatic integrity for our fine arts department.
Great. Does anyone have any comments or questions on that? Okay, thank you. Item 4.6, snow and ice removal bid extension.
Well, after this week of heat and humidity, I'm ready to talk about snow and ice. I don't know about you, but in August 24th of 2021, we awarded the original snow and ice bid removal to JDK with it's a 3-year contract with the ability to extend it to 1-year extensions. In May of 24, we extended JDK for the term of October 24 through April of 2025. And we are asking for one more extension for the last one on the contract. JDK has been an amazing partner for us. They've been attentive, detailed, and proactive in everything they do as far as keeping our parking lots and sidewalks and everything safe for our students, staff, and visitors. So with that, we are recommending that we extend the contract with an estimated amount of $613,183.33. And that extension extension will be paid out of Fund 20.
Just one question. So,
Yeah.
John, can you remind us, then next year, this time, or the next winter, we'll be out for bid for that?
We will be out for bid, yes, this fall. It would be this fall,
This
I believe,
fall?
right, Diane? Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you for that. Item 4.7, roofing consulting services contract renewal.
Yeah, as part of our master facility planning process, we use IRSC for a rolling 5-year evaluation of our school district roofs. This year, we are recommending 4 roofs. 3 are part of our 2002 schools that were all built at the same time, and 1 is Dundee Middle School. We did part of it this year in phase 1 and 2. We will be completing phase 3 this year, the part that was under construction that we couldn't really get to because they were working on all the roof equipment. So we did Eastview this year, which is also a part of the 2002 4-pack of schools that were built. So this is right about the time, 23 years, where we need to look at replacing the roof, flashing and everything. So we are recommending, we have 2 bid packages. The first bid package is Dundee Middle School and Liberty will be put together with the document phasing and the bidding phase, construction administration. The total bid package is $34,500 for that bid package to be put together. And then bid package 2, which is Algonquin Lakes and Lincoln Prairie Elementary School. The total for that package is $39,500 for a grand total of $74,000, which would be paid out of the Capital Improvement Fund 60.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions on that? Okay, sounds good. Scary to already be looking ahead at what you'll be doing next
Yeah,
summer.
exactly.
We haven't even talked about all the things you did this summer.
Yep.
Item 4.8, technology services contract renewals.
Yep, so today is a pretty light day for me. It's just 2 renewals. We have Follett Destiny, which is our library software. It's also our asset inventory. So that's a 1-year renewal of $64,754.24. And then the second one is MHC, which is our document management software. So it's where we keep staff and student records. And it helps with keeping all that kind of stuff easy to find and a seamless integration within our existing systems. And this is a 1-year renewal for $48,398.40. And for a grand total of $113,152.64 coming out of our technology budget.
Questions on that? Thank you. Item 4.9, display the 2025-2026 tentative budget and publish the public hearing notice.
All right. We will talk about the FY26 budget. Very exciting. All right, good afternoon, members of the board, Dr. Smith, administration, and our public stakeholders. Today I'll be talking about the FY26 budget. We're going to go over the FY25 budget. We are going to review kind of what we did last year before we need to move forward, and we need to understand what we did and kind of where we're at. Then we'll go over the FY26 budget, review some of the numbers that we believe we have going forward. It isn't all educated guess when we come to budgets. We do have some knowns, and then we take a look at our knowns and also look at some of the things that we need to accomplish. So we'll have those, we'll talk about next steps, and ultimately give you a chance to ask any questions. To know where we are going, we need to know where we've been. In September of '24, the Board of Ed approved a budget that anticipated $402 million in revenue, $398 million in expenses for an expected fund balance increase of roughly $4 million. So this was last year's budget. As Jeff had mentioned earlier, these are all unaudited numbers at this time. Important to note that. The auditors are currently working with the finance team on the FY25 budget with an anticipated delivery date to the board in December. Here we see that revenues came in $13.5 million higher than budgeted, primarily due to an increase in interest earnings, as Jeff mentioned, and the timing of tax deposits from tax year '23. So remember, tax deposits, right? We set that rate in December of the previous year, so we'll do that here in '25, and we start to get those for the next fiscal year. So we did that in '23. We start to get those for that FY25 year. For example, Cook County is known for the unknown of when those tax receipts will be sent to the district. Kane, DuPage, and DeKalb pretty much are steady with when they deliver their expenditures are estimated to come in 11.7 million under budget. It is important to remember that when we do create this, it is a budget, right? We are asking for spending authority. We may not get every penny spent, but we're asking you for that spending authority. We do see that the O&M fund was over budget. However, this amount is within that understood 10% acceptable band that most auditors accept. The overage is primarily due to some overtime hours of the continued efforts of maintaining our schools and buildings through repairs and maintenance. Every year, we try to anticipate these expenses. Nonetheless, unexpected instances occur when things are unplanned for. So now that we've seen the detailed information for FY25, we'll take a look at the closing fund balance, which is anticipated to be about 223.7 million, or an increase of 29.3. This balance places the district at 43.83% fund balance to expense ratio, which is greater than the board's policy of 30%, and provides more than 6 months cash on hand. As have been discussed at previous board meetings, the district is embarking on a master facility plan. This plan will require the district to access its fund balance in order to execute these building improvements, which we have been strategically accumulating over the last 5 years. Additional funding from a bond issuance could also be needed to execute the vision of the board. All budgets, whether it's a school or a department, are meant to support the mission and the vision of the Board of Education. When we discuss mission, we discuss what we want to accomplish today. And when we discuss vision, we seek for the future. Budget dollars directly support the district's mission and vision by funding strategic initiatives, programs, and resources that promote equitable access to empowering and equipping each student. By aligning financial investments with instructional and operational priorities, the budget ensures every expenditure advances students' learning, well-being, and long-term success. So that's the why behind we need a budget. Some knowns and unknowns. When we build a budget, we need to have an idea of some variables that we know and ones that we have to make some assumptions on. The district budget is the spending authority given to the administration from the Board of Ed. As we build it, we are making educated analysis of all the dollars needed from July 1st all the way through June 30 of next year. So some of the known variables that we have that are impacting this year's budgets. You have the CPI, which is a Consumer Price Index. The Property Tax Limitation Law, or PTEL, which you'll hear a lot more as we move forward over the next few months, only allows us to capture revenue growth in alignment with CPI rate from the previous December. For FY26, we know that we will only receive 2.9% of new revenue from the existing property taxes. Evidence-based funding, which is the state funding formula, has been in place since fiscal year 2018. The district has been in the Tier 1 category since fiscal year 19. For FY26, the district moves to Tier 2. I'm going to discuss what that impact has in a little bit. And finally, from our knowns, we also have our collective bargaining agreements. The district has our 3 union groups. Kudos to the board and administration for recently settling the contract with the teachers union. The contract with our para-educators expires in June of 27, while the contract with our building and grounds has been extended as we start to continue to have those conversations. So those are the knowns. So we know what our salary increases are going to be, and we know what CPI is, and we know what evidence-based funding is. From our unknowns, we have our grant allocations. The federal government has released some of the dollars associated with the Title and IDEA. To this date, we still don't know if we're going to get Title II or Title III, which is why when we get into that number, you'll see there's a big discrepancy. We hope that at some point they will release those numbers. The way that the federal government's talking, who knows at this point. We do have some carryover dollars, but we don't budget for carryover dollars because those are never guaranteed. Other unknowns are our non-discretionary versus our discretionary. Our non-discretionary items are the things that we have to pay for, right? Think of salaries and debt, our contracts and our benefits and utilities. Think of your mortgage, those things that you have as a required bill. Those are non-discretionary. Our discretionary spending is done on items that we have more choice of, things as supplies and travels and equipment. As we continue to hear about tariffs and inflation, we have to make an educated guess on the impact these external forces have on pricing. If you pay attention, you saw that CPI was up again today, 2.7% is what it's up year over year. And we know that in particular areas, it's even higher than that. So those are the things that we don't know, but we try to budget for the best that we can with those costs. And the last thing is a new and property impacting taxes. This is always an unknown until we get closer to December, and we won't have confirmation until next spring whether we got the number right or not. This amount can have an impact on our taxing revenues, which again, we know can only increase by 2.9% next year. So with the purpose behind the budget and some of those known variables and those unknown variables, we get our first look at the budget. Here's the look and anticipate revenues of 406 million, estimating expenditures of 418 for a planned deficit of 12.2. I do want to point out that this is a planned deficit, not a structural deficit. Right? It's a planned deficit, meaning we kind of have some control over it, right? Over the next set of slides, I'll break down the revenue and expenditures in more details, but first we're going to start with the revenues. There are three legs to our revenue stool. We have our local and our state and our federal. Local funds are primarily comprised of your property taxes, your personal property replacement tax, or the CPPRT, rentals, and interest earned on investments. For FY26, I'm projecting 281.3 million in local and with property taxes comprising roughly 95% of that. EBF is our largest source of state funds. We know that we are receiving 81.6 million in EBF. The remaining 27 million is comprised of some categoricals from the state, such as a transportation reimbursement, which we're still not getting a dollar for dollar on that. Right now, they're projecting us to get 81 cents. Probably not. Probably closer to about 75 to 79 cents on the dollar of what the state would actually owe us for that. From a federal perspective, as we mentioned, our Title and our IDEA grants are the largest source of funding. Again, we don't know what Title II or Title III is at this time, plus the funding on Title I was already cut, but that was cut nationwide. So we're trying to manage the best we can with our federal dollars as we wait for those answers. As you can see, D300's largest funding source is from our local revenue. As mentioned before, local is primarily property taxes. It is worth noting that D300 tax rate has consistently lowered since 2015. Here we see historical revenues in the FY26 budget. Again, FY25 is unaudited, FY26 is tentative. The increase in revenue is primarily due to the increase of evidence-based funding and the evaluations of properties. Year over year, when we compare the budgets, I anticipate slightly more revenue this year. Local revenues increase is primarily driven by the increase from the property taxes, but anticipated decrease in interest earnings. We anticipate that, right? If you're paying attention to the Federal Reserve, they're talking about cutting interest rates, which means that the money we have in the bank earns less. So we have a decrease in interest earnings due to the anticipation Federal Reserve cutting those rates. We know that our EBF increase is roughly 2%. The additional state revenue increase is primarily due to the budgeting of our transportation reimbursement. The state already prorates those dollars, as we talked about before. There are still some unknown with the federal revenue, so at this time I have budgeted what we do know, which is why you see that large decrease. I think it's important this year in particular to talk about our evidence-based funding and how we went from a Tier 1 school to a Tier 2 school, and here you can see the impact that that has just by moving a tier. Evidence-based funding is the state funding formula for schools. It's been in place since 2018. The original goal of the formula is to move every school to 90% adequately funded by 2027. However, this effort was predicated on the state fully funding the formula. Since FY18, the state has put $300 million into the formula each year, which does not fully fund the formula, and right now is projected to take it to 2034 before they fully fund the formula. The formula is designed to provide schools with state funding based on 34 factors unique to each school. Some of the factors include our enrollment, makeup of our student population, revenue generated from taxing base, and the regional cost of living. This formula is difficult enough that if you try to reverse engineer it, if somebody's really good at accounting, good luck. I've spent days trying to reverse engineer this formula. It's a very difficult thing to do. But D300 has been on the receiving end of the formula. The formula actually is working. In fact, it's one of the things that I tout the state has done the best for education is by putting this formula in place. There are 4 tiers to the formula. The tiers are designed to allocate the state's pool of money to the districts that need it the most, specifically when thinking about property-rich areas versus areas that have lower property values. So a district that falls into Tier 1 receives a larger portion of the new funding, while those in Tier 4 receive a very small portion of the new funding. Very simply put, if a district can fund the majority of your expenditures with tax dollars, the state does not provide that district with a lot of state funding and vice versa. The number of fully funded districts, so again, going back to that 90% adequacy, has grown from 194 in 18 to 313 in 26. So again, the formula is working. The formula is doing what it's supposed to. The property-rich districts, which I'm sure you guys can think of some off the top of your head, they become Tier 4. When $300 million gets put into the formula, they may only see $1,000, $2,000 increase in their state funding. The Tier 1 districts, the property-poor districts, receive more. That's the design of the formula. So this chart here shows the district's EBF amounts from the formula inception. You can see that over the life of the program, the district has received over $30 million in state funding and has typically been Tier 1. Here you can see that the impact of moving to Tier 2. We went from receiving around $6 million annually in new money over the last 3 years to only receiving 1.5 new money this year, which is roughly a 2% increase. So you take that 2% plus the 2.9 we know we're getting from taxes, and roughly about 4.9% in new money for the year. I do believe that the large reason for this major change from going from Tier 1 to Tier 2 is because CPS moved back into Tier 1. So Chicago Public Schools went from a Tier 2 school to a Tier 1, which increased their amount of money by $53 million. And so that, when that occurs, the pot of money remaining for the 851 remaining school districts decreases. So that, I believe, is why we went from a Tier 1 to a Tier 2. For FY26, I'm asking for $418 million in spending authority. An easy way to look at expenses is to focus on the what we are buying. In school finance fund accounting, this is known as the object. As is usual with district, employee costs are the largest expense. For FY26, salaries and benefits make up 60% of the budget, which is in line with historical percentages. The largest expense within purchased services is our contract with Durham and Organic Life. Purchase services expenses occur when the work is needed outside the scope of the talent within the district. So if you think of like HVAC and our C&I engagements for PD. Supplies and materials are daily or one-time use items that fall under the district's capitalization threshold of $10,000. Our capital outlay is the cost of capital maintenance projects that occur throughout the school year, but primarily over the summer. So I want to make sure that we get some vernacular right. So the capital maintenance are those kind of bigger projects that we do over the summer, as opposed to being called a capital project, which is what we're hoping to do when we do the bigger things, like projects we're going to talk about with our master facility plan. Other items are things like dues and fees, property and liability insurance, and our bond payments. Our non-capital equipment, typically larger items that have more than one-time use but do not meet our capitalization threshold of $10,000. So if you think of like a stamping machine or technology like Chromebooks, that's what we pay for our non-cap equipment. Here's a look at the historical trend, historical spend that includes this year's budget. Spend over this period has been pretty consistent, with most increases associated with raises and the capital maintenance. Comparing year-over-year budgets allow us to have an understanding of the justification for an increase. So the reason why I do budget to budget comparison versus actual to budget is because, well, one, we don't know the actuals, right? Right now they're still unaudited. And two, when you do that, it makes it look completely out of whack, right? Because we're still trying to finalize some of those actuals. So when I can do a budget to budget comparison, it makes it, to me, a cleaner picture. Now you can actually see where we thought we were going last year and where we think we're going this year. Comparing year-over-year budgets allow us to have an understanding of the justification for the increase. Salaries are governed by the CBAs. So let's break down those into two categories, the retirement and the federal taxes and the healthcare. Retirement and federal taxes, those are like your Medicare and your Social Security, your TRS, your IMRF, they correlate with pay raises. The Board of Education offers healthcare benefits, medical, dental, vision to its full-time employees. Kudos to the board for offering benefits that are attractive for employees, both current and potential. As we know, the cost for medical insurance continues to rise. This budget reflects the anticipated increase for the upcoming benefit year, which begins January 1st. So when we talk about why are the benefits so high, well, our benefit season's January 1 through the end of December, where our budget season's July through June. So we have to anticipate this year's cost plus an increase in costs that come starting January 1st. The decrease in purchase services, supplies, and other objects and non-cap equipment are due to budgeting more in line with historical actuals. It's good when you've got a historical trend because now we can see what is our 3 to 5 year trend and should we budget more in line with those trends. So every year we have that ability to reanalyze our actuals to help us keep looking at our budgets. Capital outlay increases by $11 million to maintain the board's capital maintenance efforts across the district. Keeping the school buildings up to date for safety and security, along with modern amenities, is a priority by the board and by the public, which coincides with our focus area number 5 of the strategic plan, which calls for district resources to be used equitably and efficiently. Currently, there are 23 projects listed for the summer of 26-27, and as John mentioned, we're going to get started on these right away. So the total cost for these is roughly $32 million. These projects reflect the board's continued commitment to our staff, students, and families to improve our facilities to offer a safe, secure environment that is modern for today's learning. If we received every penny, and if we spent every penny anticipated in the expenses, we would end up in FY26 with a fund balance of 211.5, which is 12.2 less than our beginning fund balance. This fund total calculates to 43.4% of cash to expense in our operating funds and 6 months of cash on hand. Our next steps, we will display the budget for 30 days online and in print. It will be available in print out here at our office, and it'll be up online. We'll continue to analyze our revenues and expenses. We have that, right? We have 30 days that we can continue to look at our numbers and dive deeper if we need to. We'll conduct the public hearing on the 23rd at the Board of Education meeting, and that's where we'll also recommend the adoption of the budget. By state law, we have to have it done by the end of the first quarter, so by the end of September. Then we'll file the adopted budget with the required entities. As I mentioned before, what's the purpose for the budget? To completely to successfully execute our mission and our vision, which we know is about our students. So we want it to empower and equip each student to reach their highest potential in their chosen path. That's the dollars that we're asking for to help support that mission and that vision. So with that, I appreciate your attention, and I'll take any questions.
I just have one, and it's not, I mean, it's relevant, but it's a little bit out there. I read in the paper the other day that Durham has just been purchased by a hedge fund. Do we have any idea if there's even going to be a Durham next year?
Yeah, so that is true. That is, and we did mention that in one of our Friday board updates that did take place. We have had conversations with Durham. They have ensured us that nothing plans to change. The hedge fund that did buy them is a hedge fund that does focus on transportation, logistics, and energy. So they've ensured us nothing's going to change. We'll continue to monitor the contract, make sure that they're still following it, and continue. And I think their contract is up here in a year or two. But yes, we will continue to monitor it and are aware of the purchase.
Is there anything we can do to just plan and prepare in case all of a sudden
Yeah,
it goes?
Deb's already monitoring that,
Okay,
so, yeah, that's completely in her purview. She is monitoring it.
Yeah,
And right now, at this moment, we don't have concerns, so she's monitoring for the future.
okay,
Yes.
thanks.
Yes.
Is there a path back to getting into tier 1 again, or are we just always at the whims of what CPS does or doesn't do?
Yeah, it's a good question. Tier 1 percentage changes annually, right? So as the EAVs come in across the state, then they have the ability to adjust where tier 1 sits, right? The state Board of Education does the formula. So there's a lot more to that particular chart that we just shows up to show, but you can see that the tier one percentages has changed over time. In the beginning, it was 70%, then it's gone up to 75 and to 77, and it's come back down. So it does change annually. So the answer to your question, yes, we could get back into tier one depending upon where the percentages change. Every year, that's correct.
And from year one, as a reminder, we were kind of teetering between the two tiers. We've always been one of those many districts that are on the edge of
That's right.
going back and forth, so that's why we have flipped. Can I follow up with a question?
Yeah.
So Frank, I know you're new to our district. When you're looking at the budget, did you notice when the last time that we've went into the budget process with a deficit spend?
It's a good question. I don't know that off the top of my head. I do have data for that, but I just don't know off the top of my head.
And I can't recall either. It's been a while. I would love to know that. Thank you.
Sure will.
Anyone else have any questions?
No, great job.
Yeah, I
mean,
was going to say, that was
it's,
really
yeah,
excellent.
Right?
Tola, do you have any questions?
Thank you.
No, I do not.
Okay.
No, Mike, I just had a comment.
Oh, go
that I thought the presentation- I'm in finance, so I understand all that, but for people who aren't in finance, it's great to give them the lesson behind it.
Good.
So I appreciated that.
Thank you.
Excellent job.
Yeah, and I love, anytime we're going to spend the public's money, we need to explain why we're doing it. And you had some of that in there. So I ask you to continue to do that because, to your point, the average person in the community and average board member doesn't understand some of that. So we need to understand how we're spending the taxpayers' money. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, on to item 4.10, construction update.
Yeah, so back to this summer and finishing it up. I'm excited to show, I think it's next month, we'll show you the presentation of everything that we did. In 2 weeks, we'll be showing you everything that we did in pictures. That'll be great. But just to give you kind of an overview where we are, first I want to thank our partners in Lamp, Leggett and Dewberry. They worked very hard this summer. We had some delivery and manufacturing issues, and they worked around the clock to get things done. So that they were excellent partners. At DMS, the HVAC renovations, phase 3 is complete. They're just doing some balancing and testing, but we were in there today. The lighting in the gym, the lighting on the stage for the exercise equipment, the track renovation the redo is complete. It's striped, ready for the kids. We have the fence up and the guardrails are up along Recreation Drive, so that is also good, and it is locked. I'll talk about the one win we had there today at the end. For our renovations, with the theater renovations, they are substantially complete. We are missing a couple back-ordered speakers at Hampshire High School, but nothing that's stopping them from using it. At Hampshire Elementary, the flooring is fantastic. If you haven't been there, I suggest you take a look at it. They really tied the school's colors into the hallway and into the media center. The classrooms look great. That was actually finished in mid-July, so we were really excited about that. Newbert flooring is complete, looks great. They did some resin flooring down in the kitchen too to upgrade that. That really needed it. It was the old tile that was just really dated and starting to fail. So, the tennis courts at Crown are also complete. That looks awesome. And the teacher's lounge, there's a couple small little punch list items, but the teacher's lounge at Dundee Crown is ready to go for the staff to use. And then at Jacobs, we are just, with weather this summer, we had that spell where it just rained somewhere in Chicago every 20 minutes. So the track is down, the top surface is down. We're expecting our Midwest track to start tomorrow with the striping, and that's about a 2 to 3 day process. At Westfield, that was one of our bigger projects. All the hallway, we switched from carpet to tile, and it actually looks fantastic. It really does. It really put a cherry on all the work we've been doing there the last 2 years. That, with the only thing we're waiting for there that was a manufacturing issue with the stairwells, the 6 stairwells, the treads and the risers. Lamp worked to get safety strip down on all the steps, so we're safe and compliant. The media center, once again, looks fantastic. The carpet, the new furniture that purchasing worked on, it really put everything together in there. And then the music room wing, or the music wing, sorry, the new carpet in there, which is water repellent, that is fantastic too. It looks, everything's great there. The PDC looks great. So the one big win we had today that I want to talk about was back at DMS with the traffic kind of renovation and new traffic pattern to hold the queue off of 72. Although we didn't hold the queue off of 72 the whole time, because I think 95% of the parents brought neighbors with them to take pictures of their kids when they dropped them off. We did great talking with Principal Labrie, and we had worked the past week or two with the West Dundee Police Department, with the SRO, with Assistant Superintendent Nikki Berkey, Principal Labrie, and Director of Safety Joe Prisbella, trying to come up with some signage and everything to make sure it was perfect. And all the students were inside the building, and buses were emptied by 9:10, and that was on the first day of school, where Principal Labrie said last year where it was usually around 9:30. So we were able to see that to us was huge. Actually, our SRO was like, it'll get better, because today everybody brought their kids. I mean, everybody brought their kids, and they wanted to stop and take pictures and stuff. So it was a good win for us, even in the rain. It worked out really well.
Complete celebration. Great
Yeah.
day today.
Thank
But I do just have to put the disclaimer out there. As long as we live, there will always be some backup at arrival and dismissal.
Absolutely.
And I just want to
100%.
make sure, I just have to keep being the one to
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
remind
Yeah.
us all
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah, I was impressed. There was a video that the principal posted of how to drive through, which I thought was really impressive. And it had like 1,500 like views, which was really impressive. And no one said anything bad in the comments. So
That's
knock on
great.
wood.
Fantastic.
I think maybe we helped there. So good job to the
Thank
team
you.
on that. All right, item 4.11.
Oh, we're moving on. I was just going to
Okay.
say, I've been out at lots of schools today. It looks great. DMS was one of them. I drove the traffic. It was empty. So I cheated, but schools look great. The floors in the buildings that had that ancient carpet look really nice with the school colors in them. It just lifts the whole environment when you have just those small tweaks. So far, so good.
Yeah,
Thanks to John and the team.
we look forward to the pictures. That's when we'll be really extra excited, I think.
And thank you to all our partners.
Thank you. All right, anyone else have anything? Okay. Item 4.11, master facility plan update.
Great, thank you. And to go back and answer the question about deficits, FY '22 and FY '23 budgets were both, 22 and 23 were both planned deficits. So master facility updates, we do a lot of meetings to talk about the master facility. Our architects and our construction managers, we continue to go through that good, better, best framework that was put out there after our last community engagements. As we look at those options and are refined, the cost for the projects, particularly at Dundee Crown High School, that cost starts to kind of narrow down into scope. Our community engagement partner, we met with Discovery Works within the past week. As we know, this work is essential to ensure that broad participation from the D300 community. The upcoming in-person sessions, they build upon the previous feedback efforts. So I know we've already had some feedback efforts, but now we're getting into the weeds with that, and it'll allow the administration to focus more directly on the priorities and the needs expressed by our stakeholders, and then our stakeholders as well. The good, better, best framework was presented to the superintendent's cabinet, so we all have a good vision of understanding there. Our next steps before the next board meeting, we'll continue to meet with our architects and construction managers, as well as Discovery works as we try to fine tune what the master facility plan ultimately looks like to work on those capital projects.
Thank you. Does anyone have any comments on that? All right, so item 5 is announcements, which is that the next Board Operations Committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, September 9th at 4:30 PM. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.